Hugging it out with Casey.
Casey.
Okay, then.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that last recording, episode 2, legitimately took 5 days to upload.
Jesus Christ.
And we're running on we're paying for 30 megabits a second, but because of the pandemic, they're increasing it to 50 megabits a second, and that's $75. And we had to
Beg.
I had to call. I don't know how many times I've had to call them up and just bargain with them, talk them down to $75. And it's because they've just monopolized the whole region, man. It's crazy. Fucking Cox.
Did you see that there's actually a class action suit against Cox right now because of false advertising?
I did not know that, but
Yeah.
yeah, false advertising. I noticed that. I picked up on that.
Yeah, shit. It's obvious that they're not delivering on the 30 megabits a second because I was doing the math. I was like, if Casey was getting that, unless this thing was a terabyte, he should have been able to upload that in one day.
It was 2 gigabytes, which that surprised me a little bit. But I gotta stop exporting in 1080p because it's not 1080. That's a 720 video and just made the file size bigger. But
yeah, my camera shoots in 720.
Right.
So.
I'm webcam. What was the point of that? But we're paying for 50, and it hovers around 20 to 30 on any given day. On a good day, it's about 45 to 50. But there's nothing wrong with our router or modem or anything. They're just straight up just inconsistent service is what it is.
I mean, at that rate, you could just throw it on a removable hard drive, overnight it to me, and I could upload it faster.
Right.
Than that shit.
It's pay for shipping or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's crazy because I've been on the phone with them so many times just talking them down to $75 because they kept just randomly raising the price. We're paying it was originally $80 for I think it was 30. We had a whole package. We had phone, internet, cable. We never used cable. We don't have a landline. We're what the hell are we paying for? And we called them up. We're we just want internet. And every time we did that, they were just okay, but what about this package? It's cheaper than internet. You get this.
No.
I don't know how many times I've told them, I just want internet. You do not need to charge me $100 for just internet. I just want internet. And it's okay, we'll work something out with you. Just because you just annoy them enough and they'll do it. Because they can do it. You just have to stay on the line and bother them. So they do it, and you have that price for 2 months, and then you check your bank account and they charge you $100. You call them back up, stop doing this. Stop charging me. Where did this come from? Oh, yeah, that looks like your deal expired. I'm there was a deal. That was the price we agreed on. What deal are you talking about?
What the?
Trying to that was the deal. No, don't try to guilt me into just.
I know what the deal was. I made the deal.
I made the deal. That was our deal.
Sir, no.
Yeah.
Just they're not willing to negotiate, but it's at the end of the day, it's at this point in America, internet should not be costing people a sixth of what you rent a place for.
Right.
It shouldn't. It's such a needed thing, especially with the coronavirus on. People are working from home. People are kids are getting education from home that way. At this point, it should be heavily subsidized, if not completely free.
Yeah, totally. And if Biden wins, he straight up said that he's going to listen to scientists, heaven forbid, and he's going to, mandate quarantine if the scientists recommend it, which,
Oh my God.
spoiler alert, they do. It will be the law, which they're allowed to do.
I mean, it's like we've read the script before, my dude.
Yeah.
It's like come on, we know how this story ends. Scientists are gonna be like, yeah, dude, just stay at home for like 2 weeks and then we're done.
They're just like exhausted, like, yeah, please, just stay home. Stay home. Come on. Like,
Just
make it
stay
a law.
home.
Just make it a law. Whatever. Just please stay home. I don't know how many times I'm gonna say that. Just stay home.
For the love of God, stay home.
You know what's interesting is like, I think one of the favorite things Republicans like to do is they just like to call Democrats communists and just constantly undermine and just say like, communism, it's killed so many people. And I'm like, well, capitalism really shows its true colors when the economy has to shut down because of a pandemic, because they literally say, well, if some people have to die, what's that one meme? I forget his name. Rocky, was it Rocky 2?
Rocky Balboa.
German.
Oh no, it's Rocky 4.
Rocky 4.
And it's Drago. And he says, if you die, you see virus.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I almost called him Khal Drogo. That's from Game of Thrones, isn't it?
Yeah, I almost called him that too. And then I was like, nope.
That's.
Hold on. No, not Jason Momoa.
But he would say that.
He would
definitely say that. But no, wrong guy. Yeah.
But like, I mean, like at this point, like in schools, like shit, like here in like Washington County, well, your bottle disappeared. Hello? Oh,
there was like some
it
robot.
got really frozen there.
Am I good?
Really frozen there for a second. Yeah.
Yeah, you were sounding like a robot. Like,
Well, this is going to be an interesting podcast.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's like
communications.
There's like here over in Utah, the stupidest thing. It's like these people are like fighting teachers on like wearing masks at school. And I mean this is like a rehash of everything like from the last month or two. But it's like I don't get, like, it is the teacher's prerogative if they want their students to wear a mask so that they don't fucking die.
Right.
Like, I don't want to go to my job and end up dying. Like, I mean, like, let's think of the percentage of people that you remember from school, like the number of teachers that we had that were elderly women.
Mm-hmm.
All of them.
Right, yeah.
Almost all of them. I think I had a few male teachers, but still, most of them were in their 60s.
Especially.
And like, I'm like, they're at risk. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, like, that's not the job that they signed up for. First, they're already having to deal with kids bringing guns to school. Like, yo, like,
is this country?
it's like, it's on all fronts. It's like, they're like, okay, so basically it's trench warfare up in these elementary schools.
Yeah.
Trench warfare.
Let me see if I can find something, because I saw someone, like, just tweet something that was so, I don't need to find it. I can just tell you. I remember it. Someone said, I think he was a teacher, and some places are currently going to school. Like, schools are open in some places. And
Right.
the teacher, he was obviously opposed to that. And he posted to Twitter, he was just like, currently going through our semi-annual routine of training students how to handle a shooting. But we're doing it in the context of social distancing. How do we protect ourselves from students bringing guns to school while social distancing? So here's how we stay safe from guns while staying safe from a avoidable pandemic. And I'm like, what? Like, it was so surreal reading that. I'm like, this is not okay. We're supposed to think this is okay and normal. It's so scary, man.
Stay at home.
I'm homeschooling my kid. I don't give a shit.
Well, I mean, to some extent, like, I get the whole homeschool thing, but also, like, it is important for kids to develop those, like, needed social skills. I get where people are like, yeah, I want, like, my kids not to be weird. And nothing against if anybody watching is like a homeschool kid. Yo, sorry that happened to you.
I agree with that. Hopefully, it was funny. It's like what 6 years down the road that my kid will go to school. Whenever it's like in the future, people just like imagine like a crazy future. I'm like, you know what? By then we'll have hologram friends, robot friends. I'm like, my kid will be fine.
Everything's
Like they can hang out with their friends and like just Tupac holograms. Tupac can show up to a birthday party, man. That's all you need. Talk to Tupac.
yeah, everything's gonna be augmented reality and like
Yeah,
not that big of a deal.
right. They have like I don't know if you saw this. They have CGI influencers now. You've heard of uncanny valley, right? Just that idea that like something looks so human, but our brains can tell it's not human. So our brains are just like they malfunction and they're like, what? And like it scares us. It's so weird. Like that's why people think little porcelain dolls are creepy because they look like girls, but also they don't. You know, our brains they're very good at recognizing people. So with people looking cartoons, our brains are like, what do I do with this information? So like it scares us. It's a really weird thing. Yeah. So that's I saw these CGI models and I like, what? It looks like a real person, but like it freaked me out. It was so weird. Yeah.
Uncomfortable and everything.
Yeah.
Like
Uneasy.
dude, like I just don't understand like with like the way that everything is going and like so like I think about like all these like augmented reality things and like yeah that scares me and AI scares me and like I mean Jess and I get in arguments about this a lot but it's like my fear is that we're gonna go like total Skynet like Terminator style. We're gonna own ourselves. And I mean, Elon's on that same train. But also, I feel like Elon's losing his mind a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Like, I mean, when Grimes is telling you to, like, yo, chill out.
When Grimes is telling you you're weird, bro.
You got problems.
Yeah. Like, tone it down. You take fucking XAE-175
Fighter jet boy.
fighter jet child.
What is it?
Out of
Like,
that world.
basically Astro Boy.
Astro Boy. Take that little like robot kid, whatever alien, I don't know what he is, and just get him out of there.
Yeah, just like Grimes bounce.
See, and Grimes is like Canadian, and they're like super left wing, and then Elon Musk randomly comes out super right wing. I bet she's like, don't please.
Please, like when he was like, oh, I hate pronouns. And I'm like, are you like taking, like, are you upset with like pronouns and how we use them in language? Or are you hate, like, because he just said it in a vague way, like, I don't like pronouns. And I'm like, what, like gender pronouns? Or are you talking about like sentence pronouns?
Right. And like, that's another thing. Like, why do people give a shit? Like, just mind your own business, man. I hate.
It's like
I hate that you call yourself they. It's like, okay, you don't have to do that.
I mean, like, no one's that big of a dick if you misgender them or something. Like,
right.
Or I should like shouldn't qualify it that way, but like, there might be people that are big dicks like that. But like, generally nobody will be like so offended if you like misgender them or you use the wrong pronoun or whatever. That like there might be a correction. Just don't be an ass and act like you were right when that person's like, no, this is how I refer to myself, and you're just like, no, you're not that way. You are a grass person. Just like calm down. Just calm down, Elon.
Mm-hmm. He's like he's a necessary evil. That's kind of a weird thing to say, but the dude basically jump-started the space program, and I love him for that. But he's also like, sure, that time that he called that dude a pedophile.
Yeah, The Australian dude that just saved a bunch of people or some like weird stuff.
And he did it because Elon was like putting together some tech to go save those kids. Or I don't remember the whole story, but like it offended Elon or something. He just started calling him a pedophile. I'm like, dude, well, that's
You don't throw that word out. You just like
no,
that's not like you just like go, hey, abracadabra, you're a pet.
Yeah.
But like, so like I think about like the way that the world's going with that, and it's unsettling, and I don't think Elon's got a good grasp on it. I don't trust the Zuck. No one trusts the Zuck.
Dude, he's
pasty.
He is a robot sent from the future, as we talked about last time. So Elon Musk is so scared about artificial intelligence because there is one. He's there's like a video of him like at the whatever it was, I don't know, the big Senate thing. I don't know.
Oh yeah, the antitrust hearings that they did.
And he moves like this. And when he drinks water, it's like, and someone put robot sounds in it. Speaking of AI, dude, I did like just like anyone, I did a deep dive into that, and it's such a like if you dive deep into that AI territory, it's such a weird existential thing because there's this thing called Rocco's basilisk, and it's basically like if you there. Speaking of AI,
yep.
Robot sounds again. Rocco's basilisk, and it's basically just like if you know that AI is going to take over eventually, and you don't make an effort to ensure that that AI becomes reality and that it reaches its success, and whether that's annihilating humanity or whatever its vague goal is, then that AI will trap you in hell and it will torture you for all eternity. And it's a possibility we're in that simulation right now. It is such a weird, it is one of the weirdest like thought experiment kind of things, but basically like Rocco's basilisk, it means you look into its eyes in a sense and you're dead. You know what I mean? And so like it's you know this information. It's like playing the game. When people say you just lost the game, so you know about AI, you got to do something about it now.
But like it's like
forgive you if you don't know anything about it, but if you do, then you have to help it, or it will trap you in its own virtual hell and torture you for eternity. It's such a weird thing. It like fucked with me. I'm like
very Pandora's box type situation. Once it's open, you're like you can't get anything back in the box.
Yeah, it's like it reminded me of, I don't know if you read the short story by, what's his name? Harlan Ellison. It's called I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
No.
It's a similar idea. This like artificial intelligence takes over the world, and it there are 5 survivors left, and they exist for like 1,000 years because this robot is keeping them alive, just torturing them. And he says the robot gets bored, like the AI gets bored, and he's like, I will set you free if you go through these trials. And these trials are their own personal hells. Like one of them was like, they're bad. They're very graphic and bad.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, someone kind of loses, I guess, so to speak. And the AI basically transforms this person into like this blob of sorts, and then continues torturing it even worse for eternity. And it's just like this contorted, remember I showed you Society?
Yeah.
It's that thing, but its mouth is gone, its features are gone, it has like eyes and like weird things like that.
Like an amorphous blob.
Amorphous blob, exactly. And then the last line of the book is, I have no mouth and I must scream. And that also kind of fucked with me because it's just like, I cannot think of a worse torture than being tortured and not being able to like express that.
Oh my God.
So like I had this whole existential thing with the AI. I'm like Skynet. There's like these robots just traveling through time to just blast you with lasers and shit. Post-apocalypse. Christian Bale ties into that somehow. I lost it.
Batman's there.
Yeah, there's a bunch of movies. I don't know. But this shit messed with me. I'm like, they could do that if they reach like godlike, So that's what I'm scared of.
I mean, like, there's a lot of fears that I have, and like AI scares me for a lot of different reasons because it like at some point, like we're trying to expand our knowledge, and at some point we have to like we'll hit the threshold. Like if you look at an exponential curve, like at some point you plateau at the peak knowledge, and the only way that we won't plateau is if we expand our knowledge with AI, a computer that can learn faster than us, can do things faster than our brains can. And like,
yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Scary because it's like Jess is like, oh, it's the slippery slope fallacy, and like we talk about the slippery slope fallacy with AI, but like I mean like it is a scary thought because it's like once you get to that point, like what do you do if it develops sentience? If it becomes self-aware, do you put it back in the box? Because then it's a morality question.
Right, because it's a living thing now in a sense.
Yeah, it's like
now you're putting it in its own I have no mouth and I must scream scenario.
Yeah, it's like I Python script and sit there and I'm like, I've thought about this. I'm like, if I'm writing a Python script, am I creating just this like branch off of my time, and like I am this script's god in this scope, and like I'm like, oh shit, like am I bad at this because I'm not a very good coder?
You're going to be one of the 5 remaining that's tortured. Okay. Speaking of that though, I forget what's his name? Isaac Asimov. He writes about robots all the time, and he wrote the 3 rules of artificial intelligence. You have to program it to obey. I don't remember the 3 laws. It's 3 laws.
3 laws of robotics.
Yeah.
It's mentioned in the movie iRobot.
That's right. Yeah.
Where a robot can't kill, it can't lie, it can't do something else. The other one. Right,
and yeah. The thing is with AI is it can bypass that.
Well, yeah, because it becomes sentient.
Yeah.
Like, that is the thing that scares me, is like, a lot of computer scientists want to do that. They want to develop this sentient creature. And I'm like, but no, let's hold off on that because we're not even cool with cloning yet. And that shit already exists.
And
let's not like bring something into this world that might not want to come.
Like stem cell research and all that shit existed for a long time. I just got the remastered BioShock trilogy. I've been playing through that again. Oh, yeah. It's just like that got me thinking about like unchecked, like if we didn't have these ethics and morals that God has or religion has sort of pressured us to abide by, then we could go into these new territories and we could progress rapidly. And it's kind of, but then it becomes like an ethical question, and this sort of free market thing takes over and people are altering their own genetics. There's a DLC where this big artificial intelligence tries to take over the whole city, and it's a very well written game, and it's like one of the very few that gets me like thinking about this shit, because like these are all real things that do exist besides the AI. But they do say that by 2050, the singularity will happen. By 2050. So in our lifetimes, they'll say that artificial intelligence will maybe exist, but by then, the singularity is like...
Well, I mean, AI does kind of exist, like neural networks and Python scripting, and you can train a script to recognize pictures. So it does develop its own intelligence, and it learns based on what you write it to learn. But like only so much. But like I'm talking about unfettered. like capability of learning. Like that shit scares me because it's like, yeah, like at least with humans, you kind of know what a progression will be. But since this is such new territory, like where does it stop? Is it an exponential growth in like how a computer learns, or is it like light years? Like, is it like, you know, are you able to track it like we track our learning and our education and all that stuff? Because it's going to be happening so fast because the circuit board on a computer thinks like it's just the electrical pulses. It's like our brain but faster. And then they're doing like they're developing integrated circuits and stuff like with just like beams of light. And like imagine how fast data transfers at the speed of light.
Quantum computers.
Oh yeah, quantum computers blow my mind. And then I'm like, please, for the love of God, don't put AI and quantum computers together because that shit is how we get enslaved.
Dude, you know what show like blew my mind? Devs. It's on Hulu. Devs. It's amazing. So it's so like I'm not going to tell you what it's about because it's a whole thing. You gotta, yeah.
That's my homework for next week.
Telling you anything would be spoiling it. But Nick Offerman.
Okay.
He's like the CEO of a tech company that uses quantum computers, and that technological capabilities, it opens up this whole Pandora's box thing, and it is bonkers. It's amazing. It's the same guy that made, you ever see that movie Ex Machina?
Yeah.
The robot? Yeah. One of my favorite movies. It's amazing. Annihilation, amazing movie. The dude, yeah, it's on par with that. It's very good.
I like it. So like thinking about like the technology sector, do you remember back in like the Obama era, like they were talking about fiber internet being for everybody?
Yeah, what happened?
We paid for that shit. That's what happened. We paid for that shit and it didn't happen. It's gone.
Yeah.
Like what happened to that money?
I think
that's what I was thinking about with the Cox situation there.
Yeah, that didn't they test that in some cities? I think they did that like in some places in Salt Lake, and
They did it in Provo.
They did in Provo, and it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I never heard about it ever again.
Yeah, they did it. It was Google Fiber, and they tested it in
yeah.
Provo, and like everybody in Provo got like free internet or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, why don't we do that? Why can't we just like give me free internets, please?
It's like there are so many things that could be free and should, at the very least, like we shouldn't be paying $100 for fucking shitty internet that barely works, especially during a pandemic like we talked about.
Yeah.
Like, give us a break, man. We have to pay rent.
And I think back on like the whole Trump thing. Trump and like the amount of misinformation or disinformation or whatever the heck he's trying to do. Like half the time, I don't even know if he knows what he's trying to do.
Right.
And like today I was on my way home and I heard like the press secretary, like for the White House talking about like, you know, using that office to like actually perpetuate this like narrative that, you know, mail-in voting is bad and it's going to be a fraud and a sham and that they're trying to prevent it. And Nevada had mail-in voting in the primaries and it was a huge like cluster cuss. And I'm like, but wait, didn't like Nevada's voting in the primaries, wasn't that like record breaking that they actually had like a huge turnout and like It was a big deal? It was good, right?
I'll have to read into that. I didn't know that.
But like they use Nevada as an example of why mail-in voting sucks. And then I think about it, I'm like, bro, but Trump just like asked to vote by mail. Like, why can't we talk about that? Why can't like he just be honest and be like a normal person and just say like, oh, I don't want you guys to vote by mail because I'm a lose though. You know?
Yeah, and that's what it. Oh, okay. That goes into something I wanted to say. Hold on. I might actually. Some people are saying funny stuff. Let's see. Man, I can't find shit. I'll just say it. I'm done looking for stuff. Someone posted to Facebook. No. Trump said this. That's what it was.
Okay.
So his most recent tweet is, actually, I think I'm leading in the polls at Fox News, at OANN. And everyone's like, I don't know about that. I looked it up. Biden is ahead. Right? Everywhere. In the general election, ahead by 10. Pennsylvania, Minnesota, New Hampshire. I guess it's a tie in Minnesota. But all across the country, Biden is ahead. Like he's winning by a fairly substantial amount. So I just find that so weird. Like he didn't have to say anything, but he opened himself up to he just lied. And he understands that his following would be like, yep, Trump doesn't lie. He says what's on his mind. He doesn't lie. No, that is just not. That's just blatantly. That's just not true.
What gets me about that guy? What gets me about him is just like the other day I watched a video of him saying to a crowd of people how he was like, I should run for a third term after I win this one. I'm like, yo, y'all are not alarmed by this? Y'all aren't getting this? Like, how come you can't hear what he's saying and actually use your human ears and not you're like, what is going on? Like, I don't get it. It makes me livid because I'm like, if I said that, if Obama would have said, I'm going to go for a third term, they would have lost their goddamn pea-brain minds.
And that's the thing. Democrats would have lost our goddamn minds. Like, that's insane. And you know what's funny? I just picture one Trump supporter in the audience, like, just surrounded by people cheering. He's like, wait a second. He can't do that.
He's the AI that developed sentience, dude.
That's the moment like a sea creature gets sentience. But that's the perfect moment for like someone from the future to step in and be like, this is where it goes downhill. This dude's gonna take over and it's not gonna be good.
Just like visibly.
And I almost hate to admit it, but it does get me a little scared because he does have so much support on the inside. And like with the military, if he's just like, no, I'm not going to leave office. And like, you have to. The military's like, no, we're not going to kick him out. Uh-oh, we got a dictator. Like, it's that simple.
So here's the thing, is that like I've looked into that, and we've talked about that a little bit privately, but like, you know, the military, they are not tied to the president.
Mm-hmm.
They're tied to the Constitution. Their job is to uphold the Constitution.
Right.
And if the president is not upholding the Constitution, they are there to remove the president. Right? So it's like, I mean, people like Mattis, who was his like in his cabinet for a while, John Mattis, and like a bunch of other high-ranking generals and admirals and all of these people from the Navy and all branches of the military, they're like, yo, like he'd be like Trump's fucked. Like that's fucky, dude. Like they're like actually admitting like, yo, he doesn't have a good grasp of anything.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, like it's really comforting to know that like those guys that I'm really concerned about like actually backing him at the end of it are like gonna be like,
Mm-hmm.
But also, Jess and I have talked about this, and like, you know, it's actually gotten to the point where I'm less afraid of what the military will do, but I'm more afraid of what not my neighbors, but like people in my community will do. Because being a Democrat or a liberal or whatever the hell you want to call me, whatever label it is, you know, it's scary because like I'm afraid that somebody's going to view me, and not saying the guy down the street with the Blue Lives Matter sign is going to be like an ass and come over and shoot me in the head or whatever, but that is pretty freaking scary to think that, like, you know, that's stuff that happens with people like that. If I was to, like, we are Black Lives Matter supporters, and if, like, you know, who's to say they're not going to come over and shoot me? So much so, like, it concerns me enough that I'm like, I've talked to Jess about getting a gun, because, like, if they have guns,
I thought about that. Yeah.
yeah, if they have guns, I'm really at a huge disadvantage not having one, you know?
Like, it's I hate guns. I just, yeah, so, and that's a huge misconception about the Democratic Party as a whole. Like, I am 100% for people owning a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we could, if you talk about like high caliber, that's a different argument.
Yeah.
Concealed carry. I think everyone should have a concealed carry. Me personally, I'm just afraid of guns, but I support that. People having like a shotgun in their house to protect the fence. Yeah, have that, dude. Like, I'm not, like, most Democrats aren't opposed to you owning a gun. That's not what the argument is. It's just like, you realize you're allowed to carry your gun, like your ridiculously high caliber gun in so many places, and there are so many loopholes for you to purchase these high caliber weapons when you really shouldn't own them. You don't have a license, you don't pass a mental health check, but you can still, what's this?
This is the SRA. So Jess and I have been listening to this guy, Vaush, or however you say his name. Have you heard of him?
No.
Dude, you should give him a listen. He's very intense, but, like, dude, he speaks to my soul when it comes to being logical. And he dismantles Ben Shapiro's, like, arguments so hard. So hard.
Really?
Like, he listened to the Ben Shapiro cover of WAP, you know?
That shit was so funny.
It's the most relevant thing I've ever seen. But, like, he pushes this, and he's like, you know, he's a self-proclaimed, like, socialist, you know, leftist and all that. And he's like, you know, we should have guns and we should have these things to protect ourselves and our communities. You know, you're disadvantaging yourself if you don't do that. Like, obviously everything should be done within reason, but, like, come on, like, you should protect yourselves. And I agree with him. And, like, you know, it is concerning that, like, you know, somebody finds out that I'm a liberal and they're going to come over and, like, if Biden wins, like, come over and shoot me in the head or something like that because they're upset. You know, that's a scary thought.
And there are already militias that are, people like to talk about, they like to list off black crimes to you, like just trying to fit your, it's really telling on themselves, really. Like you say that you're a liberal and they'll start reading off black crime statistics, like.
You're outing yourself, my dude.
Yeah, it has nothing to, thank you for admitting that Democrats are, like, correlated with just, like, liking people in general and not being racist. But the fact is, no one really talks about the amount of white supremacist militias exist. Biker gangs that are just fucking, like, causing shit. Yeah, and it's just all this shit going on. It's unreported.
Mm-hmm.
And black people, especially black trans women, that's what's gross and terrifying. Black trans women right now are at most risk in the world for getting murdered, being lynched. And it's these people, these white nationalists and these militias that are doing it. And Trump says these are good people.
Yeah.
Trump talks about these same groups like they're good people, and that, well, there are bad people on both sides, but in general, these are good people. It's not an exact quote, but I remember when he said something to that effect.
I mean, it's not that what I don't understand is these people that say they're quote unquote white nationalists. I'm like, what nation? What nation? We're white people. Like, we're white. We're just like this conglomeration of people that hated each other in Europe and then came over. Like, we don't fucking like anything. We don't like you. We don't like me. We don't like any of this. And like, come on, dude. Like, why would you want to be a part of that history of hate? Like, come on.
Like, white people hate so much, they stayed in the same place. Like, we hate weather. We hate the heat. So we stayed in the same place and just would rather like have sex with our cousins because they're in close proximity. That's how much we hate people. That's
Right.
how historically racist and just
And they're like,
apologetically awful and unaccepting we've been. We'd rather
you hate everything. You hate the fucking sun. You're just like,
Yeah.
I will sacrifice vitamin D. this hatred in me. And I'm just like,
white people fucking live in caves. Like we left Africa, became white because we'd rather live in a cave.
yeah, homo troglodytes here, dude.
Yeah.
Just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna be this cave dude. Y'all can like go around and hunt. I'm gonna go like put my hand against the wall and trace it. And that's on being white.
Mhm.
Oh man.
I mean, that's why you can't deny that. Historically speaking, white people have been conquerors, and what people don't understand is you have nations like, the Aztecs, the Incas, the Mesopotamians, the Egyptians, advanced societies that existed around the time and before the Roman Empire.
Mm-hmm.
We'll look at the Roman Empire like they're this powerhouse. They're just the pinnacle. It's like, no, they were just the ones killing everyone and conquering. There's a difference. It didn't mean we were smarter. Like, that doesn't even make biological sense or psychological sense. There's
No.
if at best your argument might work if we had better resources and we just lived in a place where we could plant crops. But that's not even true. It's the fact that something happened, I don't know what, that just made us want to be conquerors. The Vikings, the Romans, other examples.
It's this urge to own the world that you're in, to be the master of this being. But like, you also think we got to think back at like the shit that we don't know about history on the eastern half of the world, like in Asia. Like, there is so much shit that we don't know.
Mhm.
There is so much stuff like about China. China, one of the oldest civilizations in the fucking world, and it's like we don't know shit about them. They had their stuff together. Like, they were like cultivating stuff, rice, all this stuff, and then like the freaking Mongols on top of that, like literally the biggest land empire ever. The Mongols conquered almost all of Asia, knocked on Italy's door, scared the shit out of them, tried to get to Japan, lost twice. Like, I mean, like, that's some serious stuff. And then we go on and say white people are the best. And I'm like, man, no one did it as good as the Mongols. So if anyone has the right to be supremacist, let the Mongolians handle that.
Dude,
You know?
Like, and speaking of China, they invented everything. Like, we're talking about things that like
Pasta.
yeah, they definitely like were ahead.
Yeah, for sure.
And when people are conquered, a lot of that is lost. The Mongols, they invaded China, and white people Africa. A lot of that culture and that history is lost. What is it? The Library of Alexander in Egypt, something like that. Alexandria.
When it burned down.
Yeah, so much of that. So, I mean, at this point, it's so easy to say, like, well, we look at we look at history, and it looks like, white people or whatever, that we just set the trajectory, but that's not true. We just erased history.
Yeah. Well, the people that write history are the victors. And if if you're the last person on the field and you're the last person that gets to write that history, it is going to be majorly skewed to your perspective. So for Italy, yeah, for sure, the Italians were like, oh yeah, we conquered Gaul, we conquered the Celts, we conquered the Goths, we conquered the Visigoths, we conquered all of these people, except for Germany, and they'll flat out admit it. Them dudes are fucking crazy. Yeah. And like, let's all take note that the Italians, Rome was like, Germans, don't fuck with them. Yeah. Let's not do that. And then like ever since then, everyone's been like trying to fuck with Germany, but then they're like, they're kind of shisty, so like we kind of stay away from them.
It's like that dog that shows its teeth.
Yeah.
Pet it and it's like, oh, okay, maybe later. I don't know.
All right, you get no pets.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
But like white people just being haters, and it's just like I feel like a lot of these white nationalists are trying to harken back to this era of something that never really existed. This like sense of where you were like the top dog. Like a lot of these white nationalists like ache for this like antebellum era South, like very Southern gentleman and all this stuff. But what they don't realize is that like, the South was pretty bad. And this ideal that you have, this pedestal, this idea of what like you think white culture was is not anywhere close to what it actually was.
Right.
Like it was exactly like it is now. There was an aristocracy, and that aristocracy had everything. Most likely, you, dumb Boudreaux or whatever the hell your name is over in Louisiana, you're not going to be in that aristocracy. You're going to be a low conscript farmer that's doing nothing to help the situation. You are the lowest of the low, just like everyone else. No better than the black person that's next to you, the slave, or whoever you want to enslave. It's just, you don't understand the gravity of this situation. You just want something so bad that says that you're important in your insignificant life.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know what it is. It's almost like a sensitive spot. Like it's an insecurity, just the way they, you know what I mean? They just kind of like.
It's a scary time to be a part of like Trump's America right now.
Mm.
Just seeing all these people and how emboldened they are. Oof. It's not a good look. And I cringe every time I like drive by somebody with the Trump Pence sticker. And I'm like, oh gosh.
Yeah, I saw one the other day and I just like, yeah.
Well, and it's like they'll have like Trump Pence stickers and they'll be like, cry about it some more, snowflake. And I'm like,
that's so okay. That never fails to like make me chuckle because it's like, no one asked, dude.
Like I don't care.
Like yeah, it's like why don't you cry about it? It's like oh, I don't care that much. I don't know you. I don't care enough about you or your opinions.
Like
but I cry about it. It's just, that's what's so funny is like, people in general mind their own business, and then people are just like shoving stuff in your face. Why don't you cry about it? Like, I'm just trying to watch my shows. I'm trying to watch my shows. I can't fucking watch a YouTube video without pro-Trump. He like the election is that time that just bypasses cookies, just bypasses my interests, and Trump can afford it. He's just like, just put it in everyone's faces. I saw one today that was like
so ludicrous, dude.
They're insane, and it's like being. It really is like being in a dystopian like movie, like Biff from Back to the Future took over. But the one I saw today was just like it has to be a joke. Like they have to be like self-aware. The whole thing has to be a joke, and they know that Americans are stupid and they're just fucking with us because like the lady was just like, Biden is an extremist. He's an extreme leftist socialist, and he wants to take away your rights. I'm like, bro, he is the most soft liberal. I've said this a million times. He is a glorified Republican. Like, I don't even know what his policies are, because he's just like, see, his whole platform is the same as Trump's. Let's just get the current guy out of office. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
cheering for him.
Like, that's his literal platform right now is just get him out. Like, let me go. I'll do a better job. I won't argue with you.
Yeah. And it's like this whole, and a lot of it has to do with like this Obama like nostalgia. Like, we just miss Obama, so let's just get his vice president. And we realize like this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And he's out of touch, and he is like
very out of touch.
Clearly the better option if I had to choose, which I guess I have to choose.
Yeah.
That's what, okay. Let's talk about this for a second, because that blows my mind. I swear to God, like, at least 70% of Democrats were in favor of Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
And then collectively, we all decided, he stands no chance of winning. I guess we have to go for Biden. Like, you, as stupid and backwards as I think the Electoral College is, you realize he would still win if we were to just all vote for him. Like, Biden wouldn't win, and neither would Trump if we all like vote for Bernie Sanders. Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, we all just decided collectively to throw away our real beliefs to vote for this guy because he was a safe bet, even though this guy would have won if we didn't do that.
Right.
It's backwards.
Like, I have half the mind to just start a write-in campaign and just plaster the internet and like just be like, write in Bernie. Everyone write in Bernie. Everyone write him in.
That's so funny. I picture like Bernie Sanders at home just sipping a beer. He's gained weight. His stomach's out, burping. And the winner is Bernie Sanders. Oh, shit. This is the beer. All right.
Where are my pants?
All right, time to do this. Let's go. Just runs to the airport. All right, America.
Free healthcare.
Oh, he just smokes weed. All right, America, we're doing this.
Honestly, that is a portion of the voting base that I'm surprised that nobody has pandered to yet. The amount of people that want marijuana legalized in this country. Just, if you as a president just said, yeah, I'll do it. Right and left alike, both like weed. So it's like, just say, yeah. Weed. All right, you get it.
Everyone's like ready to get mad. Weed. Okay. All right.
I can't get mad with that.
See, that's what's so funny is like things that make us all feel good are the things we agree on. It's just like, okay.
X, weed. Cartoons. Cheerios.
Cheerios. Legalized Cheerios.
Legalized Cheerios, man.
That'd be a funny propaganda Biden releases. Trump's been attacking Cheerios. He wants to take Cheerios off the shelf.
Do you remember This America? Just sitting there fucking eating Cheerios with your kid. This doesn't exist anymore because of Trump.
It's like a 1950s Leave It to Beaver. They're eating cereal. This doesn't exist. Explosion.
The kid's head explodes. It's all napalm cereal, and just everyone's just on fire. Some CPR starts playing in the background. It's just like utter chaos. It's Vietnam again, and they're like all like, you know what Trump didn't do? He didn't fight for Cheerios in Vietnam. Just like some weird shit like that. And you know what? That would actually be a good ad. I'd vote for whoever did that ad.
I'm like, that's a good point.
You know what? He didn't fight for Cheerios.
You know what? I've never seen him eating Cheerios.
He's got really small hands. He drinks like a toddler.
That boy can't even hold a spoon.
Just like who drinks like this?
Okay, that fucking video of him drinking water, it's so cringy, but it
Where
makes
he's just like,
well, he's just like his hands are shaky. He's drinking water. Everyone's cheering for him, and he gets all fucking cocky about it and throws the water off to the side, and they cheer. And I'm like, that is the most mind-numbingly stupid thing I've ever seen. And like,
drink the water.
he was just like all cocky about it, like everyone like so stoked for him that he was hydrating, and awkwardly just getting on his face, just that was bad.
I mean, I don't like sounding like a broken record, but I'm sitting here 4 years later, and I'm just like, how on earth did we fall so far from like, I mean, like, even in every talk, every speech in the DNC this week, like, the convention, like, every single speech was just like, somehow we got here, guys. America's burning down. And then you look at all of Trump's ads, and they're like, this is Biden's America. People getting kicked on the streets and beat up by cops and all that stuff. And this is the chaos Biden's America brings. And I'm like, no, that's actual footage of Trump's America.
You know what? That's the thing is like Trump supporters live in their own reality where no matter what, they will blame. Like if they're just told something that's like, oh, the Democrat did this, they don't need research. Like, oh yeah. Like someone blamed the 2008 recession on Obama, and it's just like I heard my family members talking about it on just every side, and they're just like, yeah, well, they're talking about Trump and him ruining the economy, but who crashed the economy in 2008? And I'm like, Obama wasn't president until 2009. You guys realize the election was in 2008. That dude didn't take office until January 21st, 2009. How could, what? And like every Republican is, like I've seen that post so many times, like these Trump supporters, well, no one's talking about how Obama crashed the economy in 2008 because he didn't. He wasn't in office. What are you talking about?
Dude, it's like people forget, like as much as I dislike Bill Clinton, you know, I dislike him. Please don't kill me, Bill. But like, I don't like you. But
Don't answer
every Democratic president since Jimmy flipping Carter, since old Jimmy Jam, like since Jimmy has balanced the fucking budget,
and
has gotten shit back together.
Trump himself said that. Trump himself said that back when he was a Democrat, which was not that long ago.
Well,
Oh,
it's
man.
just like talking to my family about this.
Independent at the time when he said that. So he was an independent for most of his life. He was a Democrat like, I don't know, 30 years ago. But anyway.
It's just like thinking back about it. It's just like they consistently, I don't know why people think that Republicans are like these people that are like so fiscally wise. They're not. What they're doing, and this is like anyone that watches this, what Republicans are doing is they are siphoning it off and lining everyone that is their constituents' pockets.
Yes.
We elected.
Yeah.
They're not balancing budgets. They're putting all this money towards war. And guess what happens to war money when it's not used? No one really knows. All this money is going to these contractors that these Republicans are basically lobbying for.
And no one talks about the amount of money that is just vanishing like every year. And it is like billions and billions of dollars that are unaccounted for. And this happens every year. And it is, no one's talking about that. That is so scary. And it's funny because every Republican, well, I mean, I guess mainly Trump, I'm going to be honest, I didn't really start paying attention until later on in the Obama era. And now like Trump, I'm just all over the place. But everything Trump has proposed has been in the, like to the benefit of his billionaire friends. Mm-hmm. Every single thing. And some of them accidentally have helped us. Some of them have accidentally given us tax cuts. I remember getting a slightly higher paycheck a couple of years ago, and the guy was like, "You can thank Trump for that." He like exhausted. Yeah, you can thank Trump for that. I don't know. And I'm like, that's the one time he's accidentally helped me.
Right. But like, I just don't get like this whole idea that like these Republicans are the fiscally wise ones, that they know what they're doing. I think it's this like ache for like the Reagan era, post Jimmy Carter, who actually balanced the federal budget for like the first time ever, balanced it. We were in the black, which is incredible. Like the gargantuan feat, and people hated Jimmy Carter for that. But he did it. And guess who reaped all the benefits? Reagan. Reagan reaped it, and everyone thinks like, oh, the 80s were so prosperous because of Ronald Reagan. I'm like, no, Ronald Reagan ran us into the freaking ground with that whole trickle-down economics thing.
Yep.
Not a thing. Reaganomics, not a thing.
Nope.
No.
The pyramid scheme.
Yeah, it's Mary Kay makeup.
Yeah. It works. That fucking saran wrap you put around your waist or whatever it is.
I'm just like, what works?
So, okay, I guess this is a little bit of a digression. I've read up on it, and they're like, it works? Question mark. They're like, it like makes you look a little skinnier for a second. Like it's one of those like temporary things where it's just like it squeezes your insides inward, and then for a few days you're just like, all of a sudden it comes back out.
Oh,
a gross thought. You're squishing your guts, like, so it works. You might look a little bit better, but you're not really helping yourself health-wise.
it's like a corset. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how bad those are.
Such an antiquated technology, the corset.
But
Every single time in a movie a woman's wearing a corset, it's not a good vibe. It's always a bad scene where she has to like, we were watching Brave yesterday. First time watching that movie. We didn't finish it. It's not my favorite. And she like rips out of it to shoot her bow and arrow. Anyway, I digress.
I mean, never seen it. So
Yeah, no, I haven't until yesterday.
Disney characters ripping out of corsets. I'll do a hard pass.
And Pirates of the Caribbean. What's her name?
Yeah. Passing out.
Anyway.
But I think my biggest thing is that like I think as a person I need to be more politically active with like how I'm trying to get people to see the error in these like thought processes that they have, like seeing that you know Republicans aren't very good with money, you know that Trump is blatantly lying to you and y'all are accepting that as fact. The fact that he panders to his QAnon base so hard, like giving them validation. These people who shall not be named, but these people that say that like these conspiracy theories that like Mark Zuckerberg is like smoking baby dust, that freaking these people are like having blood orgies, and like Tom Hanks is involved, and like Bill Gates wants to microchip you, and like the freaking everything is just like everything's a conspiracy. Everything plays into George Soros being in collusion with Hitler.
Right. Which is ironic. So
yeah.
We don't need to get into that because that's anti-Semitic fucking conspiracy theory.
Dude,
but that is ironic.
Dude, like one thing that I want to get into, and this is like maybe like a good place to like think about, is like I think we could do a few episodes on like MK Ultra and get into like dude, like I really think we should do a few episodes on deep dive research on MK Ultra and just like come to the table with that MK Ultra research.
And just all that declassified shit. It's so funny. Like the CIA, they're like they get called out on fucking everything, and they're like, that is
As they should.
yeah. Oh, they're a terrorist organization.
Correct.
They were created to just be evil. Everything that happens, they just like no. And I guess by extension, the government in general, and just any weird back alley weird shit that goes on, they just deny it. And then like what 30, 40 years later, declassified documents come out like, yeah, we did that. Like for example, the CIA drugging the population. I think you talked about giving syphilis to minor
Black communities.
Yeah, and giving mind-altering drugs to prostitutes and homeless people, and trying to unlock their psychic powers and mind control. MK Ultra, they really focus on mind control as a weapon. That's
Dude,
scary.
It's a scary, scary, scary thing. Luckily, they were just giving people acid and just making people trip balls. So I mean, like, you look into, like, what part Timothy Leary played in that kind of stuff, and, like, what part, like, other people in the CIA played, and, like, what part the director of the CIA at the time, who was George H.W. Bush, like, how much they knew about what was going on. And, like, it's just super, super interesting that, like, at some point in the 60s, they decided to, like, burn all the shit because they were like, if anyone finds out what we're doing.
Like, it reminds me of that. You ever see? Well, I don't know. Anyway, there's like it's from a show, and it's like a screenshot, and it's this guy dressed up as like an SS officer, and he's just like, are we the bad guys? Are we the bad guys? And that's what I think about. It's crazy because that seems more applicable to America, because without question the Nazis were evil, and I'm sure they at some point were like, yeah, maybe a lot of people didn't have to die. I'm not standing up for them by any means. I'm just saying what I'm saying is America, we continuously do things without realizing we're the bad guys, but the government's own, like, well, the citizens were just like, yo, like, that's some sketchy shit, and it's like in front of our faces. But real quick, going back to the Q-Anon thing, I don't know if you saw recently, some reporter asked Trump what he thinks about Q-Anon and like why he supports their conspiracy theories, and he was like, I've never heard of them, but from what I hear, they're telling the truth. They're no, that's what he said. He's like, apparently they like me a lot. Never heard of them. Apparently they like me a lot. So he was standing up for them, and he said he doesn't know who they are. He straight up retweeted them, and it was like, I don't know what it was. I don't want to like misquote or whatever.
No, like, I mean, he's done it several times, so it's hard to pick out which time he's done it. But also he'll like retweet pictures of people, like I think it's the police union rep for New York City. Like he had like obviously a QAnon mug on his desk, like on his desk, blatantly putting it out there that he is a Q supporter.
Yeah. And
then like Trump retweeted like pictures of that and stuff, I believe. And like, I mean, I could be like grossly over exaggerating this, but do your own research. If it's true, I'm pretty sure it is. But like, yeah, Trump it's just feeding into that ego of like, oh yeah, I totally am saving all these children from the pedophiles that were all my best friends.
Yeah.
All my best friends, me and Bill Clinton were on that island together, and I was stopping all the things with Epstein.
Yeah, I saw one tweet, someone retweeted this. They were saying like, Trump's done more to dismantle pedophilia than he has in participating in it. And someone retweeted that, and they were just like, "Oh, good for him. He had to go through 12 and 13-year-olds to really get to the center of all this and get to see who's involved to take him down. But he had to, again, I don't want to like, not confirming if that's true. It's not been proven.
Allegedly.
I don't want to accuse Trump of being a pedophile if it hasn't been proven. A lot of allegations. Let's not discount that, but
Allegedly.
Yeah. It's tricky territory.
Yeah.
When
what I learned is you say allegedly, and I think you're pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty long-winded of me to say all that. But with that said, though, the whole Q-Anon thing and their fake flight log, people are trying to cancel Tom Hanks right now. They're just like, Tom Hanks is a fucking pedophile. And I'm like his name was on, we talked about this last time, a blank piece of paper with a list of names. His name showed up. He's a pedophile. Like, is that all you need? Is that all you need? Like those fucking 4chaners. Q-Anon, they're 4chaners. They're on 4chan. They're teenagers and they're
it's shit posting, dude. It's shit posting.
They're fucking with you.
It's 100% people fucking with you.
Yeah, they're memers, dude. They make memes, and they're like 100% the people involved have Pepe the Frog as their goddamn Twitter avatar. You know that's true.
Dude, it's so bad that the creator of Pepe was like, he abandoned Pepe as a character because he's just like, QAnon's got him.
He kicked him out of the house. He's just like,
get out.
Get your shit and leave. I don't like your friends. And you've been making some bad decisions. And I've tried to, this joke could just end here.
Oh my gosh. I'm looking for QAnon memes right now.
Nice.
Oh my goodness.
See, I was going to say something. I forgot, though. I hate when I get so, like, heated about things that, like, there were, like, a million things I wanted to say, and I just totally forget because I'm, like, so heated.
Yeah, of course.
I'm going to go pee real quick and get a coffee refill.
Ivy. Good puppy. Good puppy. Oh, such a good dog. Look at you. So I was watching that. I'm trying to send you this picture, but it won't let me copy and paste it. I guess I'll save this image. Pictures. Yeah, we'll divorce.
Will you divorced me?
We'll share this file on my computer. I saw this the other day in libraries. Yes.
I'm pooping. Just saw your message.
It's like stupid shit like this. It's like these people that are just like absolutely in this meme or whatever the hell. It's not even funny. So I'm like, I don't know what this format is. It's not really a meme anymore. It's like, it's not fucking making a commentary on anything. It's like just a picture of people you don't like with the shit that like you think that they're doing.
Oh, the picture hasn't come up yet, but I know what you're talking about. There's a lot about AOC and just like, I guess, unflattering pictures of her with like captions of things she did not say. Okay, what?
It's like I look at some of the stuff that they say about her specifically, and it's so gross, dude.
It is.
Just like, I think a big thing that we have to address is the fact that incels are a thing.
Yeah.
And like this like men that hate women because the women won't have sex with them just because they're there and available is a big problem. Like I mean, just because you have a dick doesn't mean that you get to stick it in anything. What are we seeing here? Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and that's a lot of the shit that's thrown. It really is. It's disgusting. A lot of what they throw AOC's way is very misogynistic. A lot of things that I've seen is when like an AOC meme is posted and they're just like they talk about just how dumb she is, and
Right.
it's just at this point it's just baseless and it doesn't even make sense anymore. This is shit she doesn't even believe. It's shit she didn't even say. They're just like comments, you know what I mean? But a lot of the comments on there, it's just like a bunch of Republicans are just like, I'd still fuck her. Just shit like that. And I'm like, you guys aren't doing yourselves any favors.
No, you're not. And like it's like Fauci here, like in this picture, they're threatening his daughter's lives. Like they're threatening him personally. Like he's had to hire security detail, all because he's a scientist. And it's like, yo, homeboy is not freaking like Galileo. He shouldn't have to do that.
Oh. Ugh.
He's not Copernicus. Like, come on, dude. He's just saying, like, wear a mask, don't cough on people.
That is a good point. I mean, like, people always talk about how these same kinds of people are living in the past. They are so far in the past, it's like kind of ironic, a witch hunt. And they're almost like Puritans, you know? And a lot of what they do is like, I can't think of a specific example, but when large groups of people wipe out others just for believing something different, or they make threats about people who have different religions, like when Christians, you know, they came through different countries and kind of forced people to believe what they want, and everything else was just kind of like threatened. And like you said, a lot of scientists in the past, they were actually targeted by these religious people. And that's what's happening now. Just hopefully definitely to a lot less violent extent. But the threat of violence is still...
Even then, some people that like are willing to speak up about stuff like, and granted, on the other side, they say that they're being persecuted, like these people in the past, like Galileo, Copernicus, all of these people, like they're actually like anti-vaxxers are being like, you guys need to wake up, and you need to like realize that vaccines are harming you, and Bill Gates is just drugging you, and they're trying to sterilize you, and George Soros wants your money, and like all this stuff. And then on the same hand, they're like, oh, I'm not an anti-Semite. And I'm like...
And here's the funny thing about that. I guess funny is a weird word. You know,
it's funny, but I mean, it's not good funny.
Yeah, it's silly. It's interesting. You can catch them. I mean, it's not hard. They say, I'm not racist just because I believe that. I'm not, which by the way, remind me to share that meme I sent you, the, whatever it was, the acronym or something.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm not racist. I'm not anti-Semitic. And then you whisper to them like, just like something that's subtly just kind of like insinuating something like, oh yeah, I know, you know. And it's so funny because you see that shit on Twitter. The greatest offender, I don't know if you know the actor James Woods.
Oh.
He is a huge outspoken Trump supporter, and turns out super racist.
I mean, oof, it's not a good look, kid.
like he goes off about like, I'm just tired of liberals thinking I'm racist. And he posted this, he posts race baiting videos all the time. And this was around the time of the protests, the looting, all that stuff. He just shared a bunch of videos of black people committing crimes. And there was one video in particular that was two black gentlemen going through the grocery store and licking everything. And the joke was it's coronavirus and they're being disgusting and that's terrible. It was awful. And he shared this and he's just like, wow, hashtag BLM or something like that. I'm like, that is so not even close to what's my dog is trying to crawl under the door. The comments on there, it's like they got permission to just go off. One of the top comment on there that had hundreds of likes was, I'm surprised they're not going for the bananas.
Oh my God.
And most of the other tweets were like, what a bunch of animals. They're not doing their movement any favors. And I'm like, this has nothing to do with the movement. You are generalizing. That's like saying, that's like talking about Karens. A lot of them are anti-vaxxers, and you just see two white people and like, wow, like they're not doing themselves any favors, the anti-vaxxers. Like, this has nothing to do with it. These people don't represent that necessarily. You know what I mean? It's just like, you're generalizing. See, you can generalize anybody that isn't white if you're white. And it's just like, it's saying the quiet parts out loud, basically. I'm being very long-winded.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying, though, but it's just like, it's so freaking cringeworthy. It is just like, oh, God, I die inside just hearing people say stuff like that. Like, man, come on, that wasn't cool. Like, honestly, like, you went to school, you learned about racism. What makes you think you're better than this person that is black? And, at the end of the day, it comes down to, like, people thinking that, like, they're more disadvantaged than a black person, or they're more disadvantaged than a trans person, or they're more disadvantaged than a woman. Like, oh, I deserve it because I'm a white male. I'm a white Anglo-Saxon male, and like, I'm more disadvantaged than this minority.
And that's the thing. You see a lot of grandmas posting stuff like, I've worked my ass off my whole life. So where was that privilege I was promised? And I'm like, forgive me for saying this. I almost just said it out loud unironically without thinking, okay, boomer. I wasn't even thinking about the meme. I was just about to say, okay, boomer. But seriously, like the economy, like catered to every single thing. Like, no doubt, you worked your ass off. Everybody has. You worked 3 or 4 jobs. Wonderful. You did more than, I'm going to say more than, I'm sure you struggled. I'm sure you did. That's just so far from the point. It's not the point at all. And it's just like, they don't want to understand the difference in what.
So here's the thing that I don't get. Like, so women, like, look, Kelsey works, right? Kelsey works. And then there are people like Jess. Jess wants to work. She's going to school for computer science. So like I'm so attracted to very strong women. Like, I love it because it's just like, yeah, you're empowered and you are willing to stand up for yourself. But then there's these guys, and I think this harkens back to the incel thing, kind of Chad incel type stuff or whatever. And it's just like, they want to keep these women disadvantaged, and they don't want them to go to school, and they don't want them to receive an education because it makes them feel better about themselves. It's like they lack intelligence. And I feel like it's like the same thing that white people do with African Americans, Asian Americans, any minority, really. It's that they want to keep them down because they're so self-conscious about themselves and their circumstances that, like, everything else can go to hell because they'd rather keep that person down so they feel better about themselves. And, like, I think about, like, shit like you saying these grandmas saying that shit. Like, oh, I worked my ass off. Bitch, how? Like, how? Oh, you had some kids. Good. But did you contribute to society while you were cooking that roast? No, you didn't. Except for raising a bunch of racists. Like, good job. You dropped the ball, kid.
And it's interesting because, you know, we have a very limited perspective on the world, just in general. So, of course, I mean, that isn't to say that we, each don't work our asses off. We do, and things are hard right now, and things have always, gone up and down. Things have been hard. We all work our asses off. It's just there are certain people working a hell of a lot harder than you. And you don't realize that because you have a very limited perspective, Ben. You don't understand.
Well, just recognize. Just recognize it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's important, like, at a certain point, you have to come to the conclusion that you need to understand that you will never understand, at least completely, what other people are going through. And that doesn't even necessarily just apply to minorities and women and just, other people. That's just a good rule of thumb. Just as like a good person, you need to give people the benefit of the doubt. Stop with the generalizations. That's just crazy. That's just stupid. It really is stupid. It's uneducated. It's just the easy way out. When you generalize a whole group of people, that's the definition of racist, sexist, just being a dick.
Right.
It's uneducated. You're not even trying to educate yourself.
I mean, I guess, like, I don't want to stay too long on this subject, but at the end of the day, just like these guys, like, if you ever want to be making this world better, if that's really what you're fighting for, and that's really what you want, like, if you're thinking that you want this world to be a better place, and that better place in your mind means everyone is a homogenous thing, everyone is one thing, one race, one religion, whatever, you have to reevaluate that. Because guess what? It's not ever going to be that. No, homogeny is not what people do. It's not.
Jesus, sorry, that was loud.
I mean, it's okay. I fart sometimes too.
I have very high-pitched, squealy farts. Sorry. It is a medical anomaly. Yeah, last thing I'll say about it. Because I know people love hearing two white boys' perspective on race. I actually totally, not because of you. I actually, like, as I was making that joke about us being two white boys, I totally forgot what I was going to say. So anyway, you see the new Batman trailer?
I haven't.
Bro.
Should we watch it right now?
I almost want to screen share it.
Do it. Let's do it.
Okay, it's freaking amazing.
I heard, like, it's a la, like, Daredevil-y.
It's on the dark side for sure. It reminds me of it looks like if David Fincher did Nolan's Batman.
Oh.
Which
looks dark. Is he going to be dealing with the Riddler?
Yep.
Oh, shit.
The Falcones.
I
What it looked like, Hush. It looked like Hush, but the Riddler as Hush. But you know who's playing the Riddler?
Who?
Get out of here, ghost.
Really? Paul Dano? It's perfect.
His voice is distorted, but you can kind of hear it when he's doing his little riddle. Also, you love that they used a fucking Nirvana song I completely forgot about. So, Elsa and I have been listening to Nirvana songs all morning, just the whole Nevermind album, because we just like, yeah.
Man, you were huge into that.
Oh, yeah.
It was dark, almost as dark as this video.
Yeah, I love it. So apparently the movie's only 20% done through shooting, like principal photography. It's only 20% done, and they had enough footage to put that trailer together. I'm just like, this movie.
Shit's gonna be long.
I'm kind of thinking that. Well, what I'm thinking is a lot of what we saw is not even going to be in the movie. I think what we saw was a lot of because they film upwards of 5 hours of footage sometimes and cut most of it out just to kind of cover their ground. But that scene where he just
beating the hell out of that guy.
Yeah, I was talking to my friend. I'm like, that is the first time like Batman, like that's how Batman fights.
Yeah.
Like you see Batman from like the 90s movies, and he's like doing that whole shit. Christian Bale just doing that. Batman is an expert in every form of martial arts, and you could see that. But then, in true Batman form, the guy's knocked out, probably in a coma. You can hear like a squishy sound. That dude's dead, and Batman's just pretending he's not dead.
Dude, Batman's like the only superhero that I actually know of that DC that killed people. Homeboy killed people.
Yeah. It's in general, it's canon that he hasn't, but there have been a lot of comics where he has.
Man, he needs it. It's perfect. It fits the mold of the Batman.
Yeah, and well, I love Batman so much, and what I do like about the Batman comics, is that his whole Bat family, Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, Catwoman, they all acknowledge that Batman is such a dick. Like, bro, easy. He's good. Like, you're good. You got him. He's down. He's knocked out. Like, that's what I love about the Batman whole thing. It's because he doesn't kill.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the alternative? Breaking a dude's arm after asking him a question? Where's Falcone? I don't know. Oh, Jesus, I don't know.
I'm just the doorman, man. I don't know.
His PTSD kicks in. Oh, like, here's your change. Oh, what do you mean?
I just asked where the bathroom was, man. You have to break my wrist.
Yeah.
He just snaps some guy's arm like all the way back, rubber arms him.
Oh, that is like that. He does shit like that. And that's what makes Batman interesting. Ben Affleck as Batman, I love it. I love his portrayal as Batman. He has a badass suit. I'm sorry, this is controversial. I hated that he killed. I hated that he was blowing up bad guys, doing some gun kata shit, like straight up blasting them. I hated that.
I'm not a huge fan of Ben Affleck as a person. I mean, the whole Boston thing.
Like cool it.
Oh, Boston, dude, just chill. You and your like Dropkick Murphys and your like freaking Boston baked beans and like just stop. Just
leave the beans and get out.
Just get out. Just like I don't even know how to do a Bostonian accent anymore. It's like, oh my god.
It's just like, why are we talking so much shit about Boston? I've never been there. I don't know anyone from Boston.
I do know some people from Boston.
I'm just writing this joke. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know. I've never been there. Yeah.
You're like, I have never been out of
I'm like, I'm so far into this bit. I'm like, what else can I say about Boston?
Fuck their big green monster. Fuck their independence. Their tea.
Fuck their Tea Party.
That tea. Fuck their massacres. Oh man, I was gonna take it to a dark place. I stopped on that one though. But like, I mean,
fuck Massachusetts and their witch trials and
how the fuck you say Massachusetts?
Yeah.
I don't. It's always my one that I don't like spelling. Like the other day, I was honestly trying to spell the states. In that one, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just no. Man, so here we are. How much footage do we have right now?
I don't know.
Quite a bit.
When did we start?
Like 3.
Oh, we're almost 2 hours. So about the same time.
So, like, what are we like? Since this will probably get cut out, like maybe let's stop recording now.
Okay. Well, okay. Let's end this real quick. How are we gonna end this? Just say, at the end of the day, hug it out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's just end it.
Yeah.